After many years of decline in our air traffic control system, the One Big Beautiful Bill will modernize this decrepit.
It is the first day of the harvest for Illinois farmer Jared Kunkel. A benchmark he wasn't sure he'd reach.
Even before Donald Trump made his return to the White House, U.S. policymakers had inadvertently constructed a troubling contradiction within the nation's agricultural framework. Welcome, viewers, to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. This paradox involved a significant overproduction of a limited number of key food commodities, which has proven to be environmentally damaging, alongside persistently high and increasing rates of hunger. This issue is particularly acute among children, who are some of the most vulnerable members of society. Now, under the Trump administration, along with its congressional allies, there exists a concerted effort to intensify and prolong these crises simultaneously. This is chiefly accomplished through a sweeping and radical reconfiguration of food and farm policy embedded within their so-called Big Beautiful Bill. This legislative package takes a dramatic approach by cutting food assistance programs for low-income individuals while simultaneously showering substantial financial support on farmers who are already receiving generous subsidies. The primary beneficiaries of these subsidies are farmers growing corn and soybeans, who have long enjoyed a favorable position within the agricultural sector. Normally, food aid and agricultural support programs are addressed during a legislative process known as the Farm Bill, which occurs once every 5 years. Although this process is not without its flaws, it has historically represented a form of bipartisan compromise that has become increasingly elusive in today's polarized political landscape. The origins of this compromise can be traced back to 1964, when Congress made a strategic decision to merge food assistance and farm support initiatives. The intention behind this merger was to safeguard the flagship U.S. food aid program, known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, from the budget-cutting tendencies of conservative legislators. The underlying idea was that urban lawmakers, who often prioritize social welfare, would lend their support to farm subsidies in exchange for the protection of SNAP. In turn, rural lawmakers would back food assistance initiatives in return for securing agricultural funding. This reciprocal arrangement has generally functioned effectively over the decades. However, it began to unravel with the rise of the Tea Party movement in the early 2010s, which brought a new wave of conservative ideology to Congress. By bypassing the Farm Bill, now overdue for reauthorization since 2023, and incorporating major agricultural programs into Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, the GOP leadership has effectively dismantled this long-standing coalition. This act can be viewed as a significant shift, one that literally removes food from the tables of the most vulnerable populations and reallocates those resources to large-scale commodity farmers. Jonathan Coppice, who formerly served as a staffer in the U.S. Senate and the Department of Agriculture, now directs the Gardner Agriculture Policy Program at the University of Illinois. He characterizes this legislative maneuver as a smash and grab of anti-poverty resources benefiting agribusiness at the expense of those in need. Under the traditional framework of the Farm Bill, if agribusiness lobbyists or farm state members of Congress sought to increase subsidies, they would typically do so without encroaching upon SNAP funds. Likewise, advocates for hunger relief were able to safeguard SNAP without fear of losing agricultural support. The timing of the dissolution of the Farm Bill compromise is particularly unfortunate. During the COVID-19 pandemic, food insecurity in the United States initially surged dramatically. However, following that initial spike, it began to decline as the federal government injected substantial funds into relief efforts, thereby bolstering local food aid initiatives across the country. Unfortunately, Congress has since withdrawn this extra funding in 2022 and 2023, leading to a troubling increase in hunger rates. Currently, a staggering 20% of American children regularly face challenges in obtaining enough food to eat, according to Feeding America, a nationwide network of food banks and pantries. This rise in food insecurity can be attributed in part to a food price increase of over 25% since 2020, which significantly outpaces the overall inflation rate. This situation pinches low-income families particularly hard, as they typically spend a larger percentage of their income on food compared to wealthier households. Before the introduction of the Big Beautiful Bill, Trump had already begun to cut funding for anti-hunger initiatives. In March, for instance, the USDA made the controversial decision to eliminate $1 billion that had been allocated by Congress for purchasing fresh produce and meat from local farmers. This funding was crucial for supporting two vital institutions in the fight against hunger: school cafeterias and food banks that serve those in need.